Penny, daar is jy sonskynmate. Net soos jy daar is, vertel ons hoe jy lekker leer. Show us, teach us, bring it all together. Penny, our friend here at PNA.
PNA. Penny is altyd hard aan die werk. PNA.
Hello and welcome to Show Me How. I'm Gloria Bastos. Today we're working with paper and with specialized pens to create unique and personalized gift cards and wrappings. Paula, thank you so much for joining me today, Paula, and thank you for bringing such beautiful examples of your work. I believe you're passionate about paper crafts.
Thank you for having me. I am very passionate about what I do. For me, the paper crafting journey started about 8 years ago.
Oh, yes?
And I started as a scrapbooker and it's evolved into what it is today.
Okay.
So I start off with my image. I choose an image that I'm going to be working with, and then I'll choose a pattern paper, which is like a scrapbooking paper. I'll choose a paper and then I colour my image to match my paper.
Okay, stunning.
I start off with the image that I'm going to be using, and then I'll choose a pattern paper, a scrapbooking paper that I want to use to match it up with. And once I've coloured my image and chosen my paper, I'll then choose what accessories I'm going to put it together with.
When you say you choose your image, in this case, this is one of your own designs, am I right?
No, this is a stamp from Magnolia.
Oh, I see, like a rubber stamp.
Yes, it's a rubber stamp.
Okay, so that's a good way for any one of us to start. We find a good rubber stamp that we like, and that is our design.
Yes.
I see, okay.
So I'll get a rubber stamp that I'm going to be working with, and then I will match my colours of Copics to the paper that I'm going to be using.
Right, and you said to me earlier that these are not ordinary Koki pens.
No, they're certainly not.
Okay.
Copics are alcohol-based markers.
Yes.
They have different tips on either end. There's a chisel tip and a brush tip.
Wow, okay.
And Copics can be used for a number of different things, and they've become very popular in the crafting world today. Because besides for using them for colouring your images, they can be used to colour your embellishments as well, if necessary.
Okay, so you don't start off by assembling the card, you start off with your image first.
Yes, I colour my image, and
is there a particular technique? Do you have to hold the pen in a certain way, or?
No, however, when using Copics, you need to keep in mind that to achieve a three-dimensional look of a flat surface, you need a gradient of colours.
Okay, so shading.
Yes.
Okay.
So when you choose the colours you're going to be working with, you would choose a colour that matched your paper, but you would look for a gradient of colours.
Okay, so what you're referring to really is the shading that you're talking about here, where you've used a purpley lilac colour, but you've got a variety of different shades of that, and the same on the face. That gives it a little bit of the perspective. Okay. Show us how we do that.
Okay, so when I start with an image, I like to lay down colour where I would imagine the shadows are going to be on my image. And for this, I'm using E21.
So you're going with your slightly darker colour?
Yes, it is a darker colour so that her face will look round. And I just go in and lay down the colour where I'm expecting shadows to be on her little figure.
So what we've done at this stage is colouring all the shady parts.
Yes, where I would expect shadows.
Okay, perfect. So you've given a bit of shape under the chin, where the hairline is. Lovely.
Around her cheeks. And then I'm going to use R20 to go in and give her cheeks a little bit of a blush.
So you've got a lot of different shades of colour. You don't have to mix, and I suppose you can't mix with these pens, can you?
You can mix the colours because they will not cross-contaminate between themselves. Copics will not cross-contaminate themselves. However, you cannot use another medium of colouring with Copic because then it will cross-contaminate.
All right. So when you're colouring with a one colour over another, the two are not blending together.
No.
That is what you're saying with the contamination.
They are blending on the paper, however not blending on the nibs.
Okay.
And even if you do end up with a little bit of colour from one marker to another, it will not affect the end colour.
Okay. Paula, why don't you show us how to colour in the dress, because I'm dying to see the next step.
Sure. I'm doing the same thing again, where I'm laying down colour in the dark areas, where I would expect essentially for there to be shadows in this image, so that it will have that dimensional look.
Right.
I think I'll show you where I've actually gotten to the step where I need to add my highlights.
Okay, wonderful. Now, will everybody start with the shading first and then the highlights, or is it a preference?
It's really up to the individual how they feel comfortable with colouring, because what they're going to do is you can lay down light colour and keep blending with your lights,
okay,
and end up with the same result. I just prefer laying down my shadows, because then there's nothing left to guesswork.
Okay, and then you know you're just going lighter and lighter.
Yes, and then I'm going to make sure that all my end lines from my gradients of colours are blended away, so that even although I've ended up with lighter areas on my image,
yes,
they're not going to be stark.
Okay, okay.
So I'll just keep blending and blending until I'm happy with my blend.
Now the techniques that you're using are the same, whether you're doing the hair, the dress, the skin tone, the shoes, everything is the same. And we end up with this kind of result where we've got lovely shadows, wonderful highlights, and you've even put a little bit of shading under her, but that is realistic. That's to give you the perspective that you need. Do you want to show us how to assemble the card? We'll take this, you've got a finished item that you've already put onto paper and everything.
I have managed to cut up all my pieces so that I came prepared.
That card that you're working with?
This is called an easel card.
So you can buy it already scored like that? No. Oh, okay.
I cut an A5 piece of paper and scored it at 15 and scored it at 7.5.
Okay.
And then I've just folded it like this.
So we go halfway and then we go a quarter of the way. Okay.
And then I'm just going to, I've matted all my pieces so that they're on cardstock.
Yes. So they're not too flimsy.
Yes. Because your pattern paper is not the same grain, the same grams as your actual cardstock.
Okay.
And then it's just a case of sticking it all down. I know it looks complicated, but I promise you, this is a simple thing.
Yes. You know, for you it's simple, but I think for most of us who've never actually put a card together, initially it looks very intimidating, and I'm glad that you're showing us step by step, because it makes it so much easier to visualize that way. So I'm trying to compare with what you're doing there, but I think I'm getting the gist of it. Again, what have you done here? Have you punched out that design?
This is a punch. This is a Martha Stewart punch that I punched out a border from, and I've just stuck it onto my cardstock. I already pre-wrapped my ribbon around here, tied a ribbon into a bow, double bow.
But that's a normal kind of ribbon that you would use in needlecrafts as well.
Absolutely.
I love the diversity of embellishments that you've used. They really, really add a nice touch to it.
This is a satin ribbon.
Okay.
So really you can use organza, whatever ribbon you have available. And all the rest of my little bits and bobs are things that you can really find. If you're a crafter, you will probably find that you have most of these things.
That's true, especially if you're a scrapbooker, because a lot of this is used in scrapbooking
as
well.
They're all paper craft related items.
While you do that, you said to me earlier that the pens can also be used to colour in the embellishment. So something like this, if you bought a plain cream rose, you would then add the colour to the tips with the Copics pens.
You could use the Copics. However, most of my embellishments that I am going to colour, I use my airbrush.
Oh, I see.
Copics actually have an airbrush system.
Oh, lovely. Okay.
That work in conjunction
with the pens.
With the Copics, yes.
Okay, lovely. So now we're adding this little bit to our card.
And these are also just punches. Most of what I add to my cards, besides for the flowers, are craft punches that you can get at your local scrapbooking paper craft store.
So this is actually cut out of paper. So I thought they were like little dried flowers.
No.
Cut out of paper. Okay, lovely.
Cut from paper,
and
from
standard craft glue, that's what you would use to attach everything?
I'm using a bookbinding glue, but essentially any glue will do.
Fantastic.
As long as... I like to tell people not to buy glue that when it dries, it's going to stay tacky.
Yes.
Because otherwise it's going to get grotty, it's going to look dirty.
Yes, yes. And does it dry clear?
This dries clear.
Okay, so you don't have to be too precise with your work.
Not at all.
Oh, lovely.
And
that's taking shape so beautifully. Look at that. Virtually identical, but I suppose they don't have to, no two cards have to be exactly the same.
None of mine do.
Okay.
just for the purpose of the program, I have made an identical card.
Sure. Okay, then what would our next step be?
Once you have all your bits and bobs stuck down,
We've got the base here.
this is the base.
That's this part here.
Yes.
Okay.
I've just left it plain. We can always stick down the inside later
Sure.
because essentially this will be the inside of your card.
Yes.
And for this particular card, we're only going to add glue to this quarter of the card
Okay.
and stick the front.
Okay. So the top
that.
part of the card is actually loose. It's not stuck to anything. It's just the bottom half of this card.
Yes.
Okay.
So
And that gives it
when
the
you-
movement.
That gives it the easel look. So
Okay.
once it's all adhered, that bit will just
Folds like that.
Yes.
That is stunning. Now this bit that you've done here, presumably that's for you to write your personalized
Yes.
message.
Yes.
Okay, because it is a greeting card after
Absolutely.
all. Although it looks like a work of art. Now fold this as it would be. Is it like that?
Yes, it is.
Now we can't put it into a standard envelope, and that's what we're going to be doing in our next
Yes.
project, is making the envelope for the
Yes.
card. Paula, show me, how do we get started? This looks rather intricate. I've never done anything like this.
It is so simple. This
Really?
is a piece of cardstock and I'm using a Martha Stewart scoreboard.
Okay, so what is a scoreboard?
A scoreboard is essentially a board that has score lines in it.
Okay,
So you'll run a scoring tool along
so
it.
that we get straight lines. So we don't need a ruler.
Yes.
Okay,
You will
alright.
be able to score the paper so that it will bend easier
see.
without breaking.
Okay,
So I'm going to line the corner of the paper here at the 6-inch.
so which is the halfway mark basically.
Yes.
Okay,
And then I'm going to make sure that the edge is along the 6-inch.
okay,
And I'm going to score it at 4 3/4
all right.
and 5 1/2. And I'm going to do the same on all 4 sides.
Okay, so what you're basically doing is you're creating the score lines to give us this little bit of height,
To give-
almost like a gusset.
Yes, exactly. To give
Okay.
you the depth, and that will be your box, because the card that we've created has a lot of 3-dimensional embellishments on it.
Yes.
And if you don't have a box for it, all those pretty little things will just get squashed.
Squashed flat. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But you know what? I like the fact that we can use this for all sorts of things.
Most
Because,
definitely.
you know, you buy a CD for somebody, and if you want to make it really unique, you would put it into a lovely box like this, and then it's got that special touch. It's a personalized touch.
Absolutely.
Can I just have a look at how you've done this? Okay, so you've scored it so that you've got a square in the center, and then you've got all the edges that you're going to fold up to create
Yes.
the envelope. Ah, very, very clever. Now, if you don't have one of these scoring boards, you're just going to have to do the measuring thing.
Yes, you're
So,
going.
so you do it on the in the middle, basically. You're scoring it in the middle on
Yes.
the diagonal. Okay.
Yes. And then you're just going to fold
On
all
your
those score lines. And as you can see, having scored it is actually
So simple now. But you know, it helps to have the right tools. It's
does.
in everything, in every craft. But if you don't have them, you can always make a plan.
You can, but most of the tools that I'm using today are freely available in South Africa.
Yes.
So
At,
if you,
at the craft stores.
Yes.
Stationery stores, craft stores.
absolutely,
Lovely.
I'm sure PNA have them.
Of course. Yeah. Okay, so we're scoring it so that we get...
everything is scored. And then where you get the cross score,
Yes.
you're going to cut that out.
Okay. Can I take this out of the way?
Yes,
You're not
thank
going to need
you.
it again. I just need to analyze that because I need to get the pictures in my head. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Okay, so we're cutting all the way into the inner lines because this is going to fold
Yes.
like that. All right, that makes more sense.
Okay, so you're just cutting out where it's crossed over on the scores.
On all 4 corners.
Yes. And then
Okay.
what I've done is I've stuck together pieces of foam to give me
Okay.
the density of the box that I'm creating.
Okay, all right. So if you don't have foam like this at home, what do you suggest?
You know what? It's just, if whatever you can find at home that has the density of the box that you're creating. And I fold in the sides. Let's actually just fold that back so you can see how I'm gluing
Okay.
the whole lot together.
Just want to move this forward a little bit. There
Sure,
you go.
sorry. Fold in the sides, put a bit of glue on that.
Okay. All right, that's the middle of our envelope done.
Yes. And then just pull up the bottom,
Okay.
add some glue to the sides.
And again, you don't need a huge amount of this
No.
bookbinding glue.
No.
Did you say it was bookbinding
Yes,
glue?
it is a bookbinding glue, but essentially any craft glue will do.
Okay. Ideally one that dries clear, as you said earlier,
Yes,
so we don't
dries
have
clear
little
and
pieces of...
doesn't stay tacky once it's dry, because some of the craft glues actually still stay sticky even although
Okay.
they're dry. And then I'll just pull this out. It's a bit tight because of course I've wrapped the paper around it. Thank you.
Okay. That's fantastic. That was really, really easy. Now, the colouring in bit, back to school.
Yes, back to square one where we started off.
Okay.
To embellish my envelope, I'd actually like my envelope to match the card that I'm
Sure.
going to be giving. So
So I see you've used the butterfly theme and you've got some little cut-out
Yes.
butterflies on the card, so that's great.
So, and the same thing, I'm going to be starting with the darker shade. And I just flick it forward so that I don't have a definite end.
Okay, so we're saying where the wings sort of come into the body, that is going to be the darkest bit.
Yes.
That's what we're going to... Right, let me get my glasses because that's going to help me be more precise. So,
And you're just laying down the dark color where you would expect there to be mostly shadow and flicking it outwards towards
Okay.
the lighter areas.
it doesn't really matter with how far my shadow is, or, you know...
Well, like I said, these are not Koki pens. You don't want to color in the whole area
Okay.
because it will become very flat looking
Okay.
and it won't have any depth. If you're just going to color the whole image in the one color, there will be no gradient of shade.
Yes, yes. Paula, do you know what? While you carry on with that colouring in, I'm dying to start on the actual embellishments of the box. So can I leave you to do that?
Please do. And
Fantastic. So, now if I look at your finished item, you've embellished the outer flap of the box. So I suppose we could, in this case, we've embellished the outside, but we could
Yes.
just as easily embellish the inside if we
most
wanted
definitely.
to. So, I see that you've taken a red backing board because to match the
Yes.
obviously to match the envelope or the card that we made earlier. And then you've cut all of these to shape. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You've saved me a lot of work. So can I just use the glue?
Yes.
A little bit on the edges.
Yes, a bit on the edges. And then we're going to, once we're done with embellishing the flap of the envelope,
Yes.
we are going to adhere our butterfly to a scalloped circle.
I wanted to ask you, how did you actually achieve those scalloped edges? And I mean, it's a perfect circle.
This is a die cut.
Okay.
This is a spellbinder. It's a scalloped circle.
Okay, so you haven't cut it with the scissors.
No.
So our background is slightly larger than our patterned paper,
Yes.
just to give us that little border. And once again, we could make that border as wide as we wanted to, depending on your preference. Okay. Now, I'm going to attach it onto the flap of the envelope. And we've got a much bigger border there. Okay. Same principle, basically.
Yes.
And you're colouring in? Are you done?
Yes,
Are
I
you
am.
fast?
Well, please keep in mind that I have been working with Copics for a number of years, but it is not a difficult process.
No.
I mean, you've seen for yourself.
I saw
just
that,
playing,
and look, my shading it's not as perfect as yours, but
It's
it's
not bad at
certainly
all,
not bad
no.
for a, even if I say so myself. But I
for
think,
somebody who's done it today for the first time, it's
Exactly.
not bad at all.
so our viewers can definitely pick up the technique quite quickly. But I suppose there are workshops as well that one can attend.
There certainly are. I do workshops every couple of months,
Okay.
depending on where there's a need for them.
Yes.
And I travel to Pretoria.
So if our viewers go to the supplier where they buy the pens and they approach them on the basis that they're looking for a workshop, the supplier is likely to put them in touch with someone like you.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Right, then we're going on to our butterflies. And again, the
No,
butterflies...
then you're going to stick this down because the
Aha.
butterfly is actually going to be slightly over the edge of the
overlapped.
mat.
Okay. And
Add the glue just to the corner, yes.
yeah, so that we don't actually sit with glue messing up the back of this. Doesn't really matter what angle we
No.
use. Okay. So if I wanted to, I could actually put a little glue dot or something at the back
100%,
here
definitely.
to keep it down. Is that what you
Yes.
normally do to secure it?
I prefer to use glue. It's just a preferred medium.
But if you use glue, once they've opened it, it's opened. I mean, okay, so
No,
you can't close it again.
This will stay open. The fact that this has weight to it will keep the envelope closed.
Okay, okay.
But
perfect.
I use glue when assembling all my projects because I would hate to give it to somebody and find that it's falling apart.
No, I understand that. I meant to actually close it once you've put your gift inside.
Oh, and to close it,
Yes,
that's entirely up to you. You could use double-sided tape.
yes. And you get those little sticky dots that
Yes.
are ideal for
Yes.
scrapbooking that you could put on there. That was fantastic, and I enjoyed it. It was simple, and again, very versatile. We can use whatever paper and whatever embellishments we want.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Show Me How was proudly coloured by PNA, suppliers of stationery, books, arts and crafts. PNA, colour your world.
PNA.